magandang buhay para sa ating lahat. So, narito na naman po tayo sa panibagong discussion. So, bago po ang lahat, please subscribe and please press the bell button para updated po kayo lahat sa lectures. Okay, so we're going to discuss for the data collection and presentation. Okay, so for the data collections, our objectives are we have to discuss the types of data and types of sampling techniques, use the appropriate techniques in data collection, and identify the types of sampling techniques used in the data collections. So we have under the data, we have primary data and the secondary data. For the primary data, we have the data that are collected directly by the researcher himself. So these are the first-hand or the original sources. So yun yung tinatawag na primary data. So primary data can be collected through the following: by direct observation or measurement, or interview, or mail of recording, or of reporting forms, by experimentation, and by registration. Primary data collection can be more effective and informative if given the necessary preparation and planning. While for the secondary data, the information taken from published and unpublished materials previously gathered by other researchers or agencies, such as books, newspapers, magazines, journals, published or unpublished theses and dissertations. So we have the sampling technique, we have the probability sampling and non-probability sampling. For the probability sampling, we have every unit has a chance of being selected, and that chance can be quantified. It involves the selection of a sample from population based on the principle of randomization or chance. For the non-probability sampling, every item in a population does not have an equal chance of being selected. So we have the probability sampling. Under here, we have the simple, systematic, stratified, and cluster. For the simple, we have the lottery or fishbowl techniques or table of random numbers. For simple random sampling, each member of the population has an equal chance to be included in the sample. For the fishbowl technique, done by writing a name of person, object, or thing or small slip of paper and deposit them in a box. And after they are thoroughly mixed, the first pick is made by followed by another until the sample size is chosen. Sampling with replacement involves returning to the container every piece of paper drawn. This arrangement holds the probability constant. For the without replacement, the drawn papers are no longer returned and in the container. For the table of random numbers, the table contains rows and columns of digits randomly ordered by a computer. From the starting point, continue in any direction as long as there is consistency with the route, and continue picking out the numbers until the desired number of the sample size is obtained. So we have example here. For example, first example, a teacher selects a student in his class who will answer his question by picking the name in a bowl. A computer randomly selects five numbers from 42 distinct numbers, which will be given the winner in the Grand Lotto game. So we have the systematic random sampling. The members of the population are arranged in some fashion, perhaps alphabetically or other sort. A random starting from Starting point is selected in every gate. Now member will be succeeding samples. So the proportion of the population to be sampled must be known. For example, we have every seventh customer entering a shopping mall is asked to select his or her favorite store. So, ibig sabihin, kada seven tatanungin kung ano ang kanilang paboritong store. Stratified random sampling. The population is first divided into subsets based on the homogeneity called strata. So the strata are internally homogeneous as possible, and at the same time each stratum is different from one another as much as possible. So then samples are selected proportionally from each stratum, which can be done through simple or systematic random sampling. For example, we have mail carriers of a large city are divided into four groups according to the gender or according to whether they walk or ride on their routes. Then 10 are selected from each groups and interviewed to determine whether they have been bitten by a dog in the last year. For the cluster sampling can be done by subdividing the population into smaller units and then selecting only the random some primary units where the study would then be concentrated. It is sometimes referred to as an area sampling because it is frequently applied on a geographical basis. Sometimes we use when the members of a population is too large. See, the population can be divided into cluster like cities, could be divided into district or areas. Then secondary simple or systematic random sampling can be done. So this method is sometimes referred to as multi-stage sampling. In a large school district, all teachers from two buildings are interviewed to determine whether they believe the students have less homework to do now than in previous years. So for the data presentations, so we have to identify the different forms of data presentation, discuss and give examples of the methods of data presentation, and construct the frequency distribution table and graph of a specific data. Note, the mere gathering of the information of data is not a small task. A greater task is to make the data comprehensible and meaningful. So how? Kung paano nga? For example, we have the textual form. The data are incorporated in text of the report. We have tabular form. The data are presented in rows and column. We have the graphical form. The data are presented in graphics form from for an easy to digest information. So we have the raw data. Ito yung kinokolekta natin in investigation and they are not organized systematically. For example, di ba nag-survey ka? Ngayon, lahat ng survey mo, i-ayos mo siya. Yun yung mga raw data mo. So, parang may array, ordering of the observation from smallest to largest or vice versa. It has advantages because the low and high values can be readily perceived. So the process is tedious, especially if the raw data are numerous. For example, we have a nationwide travel agency offers special rate for the package store during the summer or during summer. So to economize spending for the advertisement, only certain age group of people will be sent brochures for attractions. So the agency gets the previous passenger customers from its files and groups them according to ages. So only those groups will at least people are sent brochures. For example, ang sample natin. So makikita mo dito na hindi siya naka-arrange. Yan. So kung bibilangin mo yung example natin, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So, 5 times 8. So, we have 40 na kinuha nating samples. Ngayon, ito yung mga, ngayon, i-arrange natin siya. Yan. Oh. Pag in-arrange mo, pwedeng to the highest or to the lowest. So, yan. Di ba? Largest to smallest. Okay. Or, pwedeng sa pinakamababa hanggang sa pinakataas. Kung ano gusto mo. Pwede naman. Depende sa pag-ayos mo. But be sure na kukuhanin mo lahat. Wala kang iiwanan. Kasi kailangan ang sample mo ay 40. Hindi pwedeng magkulang. Okay, stem and leaf diagram. The number or raw data is broken into tens and units. Digits are tallied together whose values share with 10 digits. For example, we have divided ito 18, 26, 34, 36, 38, 41, 43, 44, 45, or 50, and so on and so forth. So, ito yan, inayos niya. So, pwede rin to, di ba, para mas madali. Kailan kunyari, for example, di ba nakuha mo 18? Ang gagawin mo, iganyan mo na agad. Para at least lagyan mo ng tanda. Para at least alam mo na nakuha mo na siya. Hanggang sa malagyan mo ng tanda lahat. Di ba? Para at least wala kang maiiwan. Di ba? Kasi baka mamaya makalimutan ka, magkakamali ka sa pagkuha ng mga sagot mo. Kasi once na magkamali ka sa umpisa, dire-diretso na yung pagkakamali mo. Okay, for example here, so the data arranged in tabular form. So, chinek natin kung ilan daw papasok sa 10 to 19. So, alam natin na isa lang ang 18, di ba? So, yun, one frequency. So, sa 2029, isa lang din. So, check natin yan ha. O, 26 lang ang pumasok, di ba? So, makita mo dito, isa lang din. Sa 30 to 39, 30 to 39, tatlo siya, di ba? Ayan, o. 34, 36, and 38. So, tatlo, di ba? Sa 40 to 49, check natin. 40 to 49. 1, 2, 3, 4. Apat siya. Sa 50 to 59, check natin. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. O, 9. 10, 11, 12, 13. 59, di ba? So, 13 yung pumasok. So, 60 to 69. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. O, 13 din, di ba? O, makita 13. So, ayun sa hanggang sa kailangan maging 40 to. Okay. So, paano ginawa itong relative frequency? So, ang ginawa, kukunin mo yung 1. Kaya palitan yung color para at least makita. So, ang ginawa dyan, 1 over 40. So, dito is 0.025. Yan. Multiply mo siya sa 100 para makuha mo itong 2.5. So, ganun din lahat. Kaya kailangan 100% to, ito ay 1. So, para tumama yung sagot mo. Okay. So, step in construction of frequency distribute table. So, we have to decide on the set of groupings called classes. Yan. And next, sorting and tallying the data into classes and counting the numbers of tallies in each class called class frequency. Yun yung ginawa natin kanina. And then, so we seldom use fewer than 5 or more than 15 classes. So the classes cover equal ranges of values and make ranges multiples of numbers that are easy to work with. Open classes should be avoided, such as classes or less than or more than. So classes should not overlap. So in the final presentation of the table, tally is usually omitted. So according to Freud and Simon, so suggested the formula on deciding on the number of classes. So we have the highest observed value minus the lowest. So divided by number of classes. And then, yan, ganun din. Ayan, highest observed value minus the lowest all over the 1 plus 3.322 log of n. Di ba remember, 40 ang ating log. Ayan. So, 40. So, nakuha natin 9.8. So, probably approximately 10. Hindi kasi pwede mag 9.8 kasi decimal point. So, whole number ang kukunin natin. Okay, so check nyo Paano ba yung 10 na yun? So, pag binilang mo, 1, 10, diba? Yung nakikita, palitan din color. Diba? 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So, pag binilang natin yan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, yan yung ating class interval. Diba? Ayan. So, we have class interval of 10. Ayan. Yan, ito. Pag chinek mo yung dalawa na yan. Okay. So, yung Sloven's formula, 1 plus 3.322 log of n. Ayan. So, a convenient value to start the first class is 10. Or we may start with the smallest value of array of numbers. Thus, the first class would be 10-19. Ayan. So, mache-check nyo yung ginawa natin kanina, di ba? Ayan. So, ito yung frequency. And then, relative classes. So, ginek na natin yan. Ito yung relative frequency. Kailangan mag-equal sa 1 or 100%. So, true limit and class marks. So, to check for that, so, diba? Pwede mo makita yan, Ano? 10 plus 19. Tapos, i-divide mo sa 2. So, makikita mo yung class interval. Yung ating class boundaries or class marks. Kukunin mo yung kalahati, kumbaga. So, x is 19.5. Diyan. For here is 14.5. Kasi 10 plus 9 is 29 divided 2 is 14.5. So, yun yung ating class mark. So, yan, check mo. So, yung class mark natin na yan. So, 10 plus 19 divided 2 is 14.5. 20 plus 29 is 24.5. Actually, pag chinek mo ito mga to, plus 10 ka lang na ng plus 10. Yan, di ba? Plus 10. Okay. Pagka 10 kasi ang class interval mo, or mache-check mo. So, alam mo ito na ito ang lower limit mo. Yan, lahat na nasa dito sa left side. Lower limit mo. Nasa right side, yun yung upper limit mo. To get the lower boundary, itong lower limit mo, ma-minus mo ng 0.5. Palitan natin ng kulay para makita. Minus 0.5. Yung upper limit mo, plus 0.5. Parang nagbawas ka, pero nagdagdag ka, parang ganon. So, nakita mo dito, lahat yan, minus ng 0.5. Ito, dinagdagan natin ng 0.5. So, nakukuha nyo na yung lower at upper. For the graphical representation of the frequency distribution, so we have, ito yung graph natin. For the pie graph, so mache-check mo. Ayan. Actually, this is the 19 yan, hindi yan 190. Ayan. For the histogram, It is a graphic representation of frequency distribution where adjoint vertical rectangles are drawn on the horizontal axis with the centers of the bases located at the class marks. The class boundaries are plotted against the frequency histogram through the frequency histogram. So ito yung histogram. So ito yung mga frequency natin. Ito yung ating class mark. Diba? For the frequency polygon, it's a closed figure of n side constructed by plotting the class mark against the frequencies. So frequency and class mark na naman. Diba? Ito yung ating class mark. Ito yung mga frequencies natin yan. OGIB. So we're looking for the greater than and cumulative frequency. Greater than or less than cumulative frequency. So ito yan. Pagka less than, ito ba? 1. Ito yan. So gagawin natin muna. Wait, para maintindihan nyo. Murahin muna yan. So 1, ito yon. So 1 plus 1 equals 2. Di ba? Ayan o. Di ba? 2 plus 3 equals 5. Plus 5. 9. Actually, yun yun. Teka, palitan ko ng kulay. Yung 1 ayun. 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 O, di ba? Ganun lang yan. Hanggang sa maging 40 siya. Kailangan 40, hindi pwede sumobra. Kasi ang frequency natin ay 40. So, sa greater than, ito naman. Yung 1 na yun, ito yun. So, plus 1 equals 5. Plus 5 equals 18. Hanggang sa maging 40 naman siya. So, di ba? So, kailangan hindi pwede sumobra, ha? Okay, so, two kinds of OGIB. So, ito yung frequency natin, cumulative. Yan, pataas. Ito pababa. Kabaliktad. Parang X siya, di ba? Okay. Pie chart. So, a circle that divided into sector pie shape pieces. Ayan. So, hanggang dito na lang ating discussion. So, I hope na meron kayong naintindihan. So, maraming salamat. Magandang buhay para sa ating lahat. Ciao!